Today on Commander Replay, we check out this Vadrok Apex of Thunder Mill combo deck. You know what blue combo decks mean? Find out next on Commander Replay. Hey everyone, if you like high quality oolong tea, check out this website, Cha Ceremony. Marcus sent me a few samples and his tea is fantastic, with Zhaozong now being my single favorite tea. So check out Cha Ceremony, link is in the description below. Welcome back everyone, playing some Vadrok's Apex of Thunder today. And today's deck list comes from Patreon supporter Ryan. And yeah, we got a little bit of combo going with this deck today. So if I'm understanding right, he hasn't actually played this deck yet. So this is going to be kind of the first run of it. So we'll see how things go today. One thing I just noticed after I loaded the game up is that mostly basic lands in this deck. So we'll see how the mana production goes. Let's go ahead and we've got a Mystic Remora that can hopefully do good things for us. But there's some pretty cool combo lines in this deck. So there's a lot of bounce spells, things like Snap, and ideally we want to find Dockside Extortionist. You Vadrok mutate onto Dockside, then bounce both of them, and you can make infinite mana that way because when you recast Vadrok, you can flashback the bounce spell. So recast the Dockside, recast Vadrok, use the flashback ability, recast the bounce spell, and then you've got yourself infinite mana. And you can do a lot of things with infinite mana. Here's a quick peek at the deck list. Mana curve looks nice and low. Can always appreciate that. We do have the Lion's Eye Diamond combo in here. Could probably add an Angel's Grace just to round out that combo a little bit. Because then you can just Wheel of Fortune everyone to death if you want. But there's some other ways to mill everyone out also. Uh-oh, we're going last. You guys know how I love that. Mana Vault for the Urza. Seems good. Ooh, into a Silvermere. Getting the mana ramp going. I guess all things considered, it could be worse than that. That sequence of plays is still less good than Soul Ring or Mana Crypt. Although, Burgeoning for opponent. We're going last. Everyone's dropping down their stuff. We're not going to be able to draw with Mystic Remora. Disappointing. Hopefully they save some spells for next turn. One of the things I'm worried about is that we are going to need to draw additional colors of land. So taking a look at what Vadrok does. It's Jeskai for a 3/3, has Mutate for essentially Jeskai in 1, has Flying in First Strike, and it says, when this creature mutates, you may cast target non-creature card with converted mana cost 3 or less from your graveyard without paying its mana cost. So you can do a lot of flashbacky kind of things with it. Seems kind of cool. And yeah, that's what our deck's going to be built around today. I haven't played any Vadrok yet, so I'm excited to check this thing out. See how it goes. It does bring it to our turn 1. We draw a mountain, which is good. That's now 2 colors of mana. Excellent. Get this Mystic Remora in after everyone having a whole bunch of turn 1 plays. Super disappointing. Hopefully they've got turn 2 plays that will get us lots of card draw. Play the Mystic Remora, and us dropping the land in does trigger a land from Burgeoning from the Selvala player, so that just happened also. And we'll pass like that. We can also use cards like Winds of Rebuke, and there's also a Surveil card that bounces, where with Surveil we can put everything into our graveyard, do the Underworld Breach thing, or Winds of Rebuke, we can mill our opponents to death. There's also some Storm stuff in here. There's Aria of Flame, so we have some interesting lines. They said that they didn't include the Cloud of Fairies High Tide Vadrok combo in this one, so we'll have to roll without that. Ooh, that's a Soul Ring for the Urza. Yeah, well, we're going to draw. It's a mountain. Lands are good. Urza coming into play. Yep. Find out who's got removal. Urza makes a 4/4 construct. Selvala coming into play. Yep. Burgeoning pretty good. Leads you to turn 2 Selvala. I'll take the card draw off Selvala, but Selvala is dangerous. We have Snap, and, we may need to Snap at some point, so probably leaving up mana. Going to be a good idea. Ooh, Mishra's Workshop for the Golos. So they're on Golos mana now. They've got a Deserted Temple. That is a lot of artifact mana. Oy. This colorless Golos. Golos into play. 1 floating. Gets a command tower. Use the 1 floating to untap the command tower. Wonder if we're leaving up like a swords or a path or something. We're going to have to pay for the fish right here, so we're going to go ahead and do that. We want to keep drawing cards. Pay 1. Saving Grasp. Return target creature you own to your hand. It has flashback. Interesting. I guess we'll get a mountain into play right here. Triggers a Burgeoning. And we'll pass like that. I believe Selvala is now out of lands for the time being, but once they tap it one time, I'm sure they'll draw more. Yeah, we are so far behind our opponents, they have ramped very hard. We have a decent number of low-costed ramp cards, bunch of Signets, Talismans, Soul Ring, Mana Crypt, stuff like that. I would like to find those very soon. Spellbook coming in for our opponent. Almost feel like we want something like that in our deck right now. Let's use the Mystic Remora ability. That's a free draw right there. Yeah. Maybe it's just because we have the Remora in play. Haven't cast a bunch of mana rocks. Opponent's gonna use the Urza ability. Oh, it's a Torpor Orb. Creatures entering the battlefield don't cause abilities to trigger. When this creature mutates, so as far as I understand it, that is not an ETB. That is triggers upon mutating, not upon entering the battlefield. But we will use the Mystic Remora ability right there. Ooh, that's a Drannith Magistrate. It's a pretty good one, though we don't have any white mana. Gonna send the 6/6 over to Golos. Seems like a pretty good idea. Opponent taps the Selvala, we get a plane, so that'll give us our third color of mana. Everyone got their commander in before we get to this Drannith Magistrate. That's not the best. Drannith Magistrate would shut off the Urza ability. Sujiri Step coming into play. Gonna give Selvala protection. It's pro-blue. Blackblade Reforged coming in. We'll trigger our Mystic Remora. We need to catch a piece of mana ramp super badly right now. Use a Mystic Remora. We draw a Sanctum of Eternity. Not what we were looking for. See if there's anything we can Mystical Tutor for that would be helpful. Really just looking for like extra mana at this moment. We have 11 cards in hand and there's just like no way we're going to be able to get those out of our hand. Silence is a card that could be useful. Opponent gets dinged by the Mana Vault. Sure. Actually, Drannith Magistrate also shuts off Golos from being able to use the activated ability there. So might be on the Drannith Magistrate plan right here. Comes a Wayward Swordtooth. Yep. I'm going to try to ride the Mystic Remora one more turn. We haven't ramped it all, and like we badly need to ramp, so I'm going to pay for it. There's a Goblin Engineer. I'm sure that can find something interesting. Let's play an island. Triggers Burgeoning. Play Mystical Tutor. See what we can put on top. Might as well get Winds of Rebuke, I think. So if we played Windfall, we'd get like many new cards, but we'd have to win from that spot. I think I'm on Winds of Rebuke then. And that's just so we can get a card out of our hand. This brings us down to 10. We need to discard. I want to keep the lands. Let's get rid of Cub Warden. That one's not particularly exciting to me. This one's got Flashback. We'll drop that one. Do we need double red at all? There are 2 sources of double red. We need double red to mutate. Okay. Okay, so we're not getting rid of the land right there. I don't know. I'm going to dump Wheel of Fortune because we don't need it in this moment. And we can flash it back. So that's the beauty of our commander. But hopefully we can run our way into some ramp right here. Oh, one thing to think about. Torpor Orb will stop the Goblin Engineer from triggering the ETB. So that's probably actually not the most helpful. We can discard that. Not sure that we'll be needing it. Opponent's going to play a Muddle the Mixture. Opponent activates Urza ability for a Muddle the Mixture. Interestingly, I don't believe you can Yeah, you can't transmute that, so it's only a counter spell. It's kind of awkward. Gonna send the 6/6 over to Golos. Sure. Blocks with Golos. Golos goes back to the command zone. Note that if they recast it, this Torpor Orb will prevent it from getting another land, but they do have a lot of mana running around just in this Mishra's Workshop and Deserted Temple, so that's going to be like most of their Golos mana. Opponent activates Selvala, we draw into the Winds of Rebuke. Oh, you know what the Torpor Orb does? It shuts off Dockside Extortionist. That's going to be an issue for us. What do we have to deal with that? Hopefully something. Chaos Warp? Doesn't look like too much other than Chaos Warp. Maybe we have some permanent bounce? Yeah, this deck's going to need a lot more removal. Especially if they want it to slot into the kind of high power setting, which is where I think this was envisioned. Opponent's going to Eldamri's Call. Yep. We'll get a Mystical Tutor. We'll get a Mystic Remora trigger. There's our Dockside Extortionist. But now we need to get rid of the Torpor Orb. Wish I thought about all that beforehand. Hope someone else deals with it. Austere Command, Artifacts, and Creatures. Nice. That's going to bring down the Torpor Orb. Unfortunately, that will kind of reset everything for Dockside Extortionist. Draw with the Mystic Remora. So Dockside Extortionist not going to be generating us so much value right here, unless, of course, this gets countered. Got 5 cards for the blue player, 4 open mana. See if it resolves. Oh my. Didn't expect that. Okay, we've got somewhat of a chance here now. There's 1 enchantment in play, so Dockside not doing that much yet. Urza will have more artifacts, though. That deck's like almost entirely artifacts. Shouldn't be too long before Dockside is active again. I think this turn might be like Drannith Magistrate and Polywog Symbiote. Not sure what this Goblin Engineer is for. Oh, Lion's Eye Diamond? Yeah, that makes sense. Okay. Opponent's going to Sky Shroud claim, sure. Mystic Remora. Counterspell, seems helpful. Still need mana ramp, though. Opponent could, like, cast 1 more spell here before our Mystic Remora goes down. Give ourselves another chance to find some signets and things. That would be ideal. Opponent going to send the Wayward Swordtooth our way. Yep. Brings it back to our turn. Gonna let the Mystic Remora go. There's an Unexplained Disappearance. Sure. Let's get the planes into play. Since there are 2 commanders not in play, I think it's going to be Drannith Magistrate this turn. I'm going to go Drannith Magistrate, and I think the Symbiote. Mystical Tutor in response for opponent. Probably got to be something to deal with the Drannith Magistrate. And then we'll drop in the Polywog Symbiote. Yeah, opponent grabs a Rapid Hybridize, so Drannith Magistrate I don't think is going to be long for this world. So we need to discard. We still need the red. Do we have any double white in the deck? There's like 2 sources of double white in the deck. I think we'll be okay to discard a Plains. Need to get rid of 1 spell. Guess we put Winds of Rebuke into the graveyard since we can just flash it back. Mannequin into play. That's an artifact. Get that artifact count up. Opponent passes like that, so just going to sit on their Rapid Hybridize for a moment, feeling like they don't need to go for it just yet. It's actually kind of bad news because that's going to kind of mess up our ability to really do much with Dockside, or really mutate onto anything for that matter. So we would need Counterspell mana to be able to stop the Rapid Hybridize. Opponent has a Never-Flowing Chalice in hand. That's another artifact. There's an Idyllic Tutor. Do we have a Smothering Tithe? No Smothering Tithe. Almost called... Aria of Flame is interesting. Still needing more artifacts and enchantments onto the battlefield, though. Oh! That's an Archon of Valor's Reach. Flying Vigilance, Trample. As it enters the battlefield, choose Artifact, Enchantment, Instant Sorcery, or Planeswalker. Players can't cast spells of the chosen type. I once played a game that had 4 or 5 of those on the battlefield, each naming a different type. There were very few card types left. I think Creature was one of the few. That game ended up going about 3 hours. I was playing Legendary Blades, and after a very long period of time, I was able to, shoot one, then kill another one, and, reduce the count of them down to about 2. And then so people could actually, play a little bit of Magic. But that's a super nasty card right there. Opponent, wow, instant. All right, then. Instants are off the table. We will need a sorcery that deals with that. I think this deck is many, many instants. That's bad. I'm not entirely sure how we deal with that. See if Champ brought any removal. Drannith Magistrate gives a pretty good reason for opponents to want to wipe the board. Okay, so Champ fires off an Austere Command, destroying all creatures. And that's going to allow them to recast their Golos right here. So that does get rid of the Archon, which had to go, because that's a big part of what our deck's doing. Problem now, that once again reduces the artifact count, and we need the artifact and enchantment count to be getting a little higher. Opponent goes for Cabal Coffers, no Urborg yet. I'm sure that's next on their list. So that'll bring it back to our turn. There's an island. What are we doing this turn? There are 2 total artifacts and enchantments from opponents. Can we Idyllic Tutor into... If we go Idyllic Tutor, get Underworld Breach. Who? That'd be 3, it would be 5 to get exactly Underworld Breach. So I don't think we're ready just yet. I don't think we're doing anything with white mana this turn. Probably leave up the Counterspell. Seems like a good idea. So I'm going to go Goblin Engineer and get LED into the graveyard. After that, I think play a Mountain just to make sure we have the red in case a wheel happens or something. Burgeoning will trigger. And I actually don't think we're that far away. As poorly as things have gone with mana ramp and stuff, if opponents can play maybe 2 artifacts and enchantments on their turn, I think we're probably about ready with Dockside. Because if we Idyllic Tutor for Underworld Breach, that'll give us infinite mana with the Lion's Eye Diamond. Yeah, that should do it. There's an Ethereum Sculptor, artifact number 1. There's Ever-Flowing Chalice, kick 2 times, artifact number 2. Things are looking good. I am liking this. Rapid Hybridize still in hand for opponent. Got to be careful of that one. Makes the total count 4 so far. A while back, Golos asked, "You guys feed the fish like crazy and then attack me?" There's Selvala coming into play. We'll let that go. And then opponent said, "Yeah, Mr. Faction is behind on mana production. Mr. Faction is my father." So Selvala back into play. Yep. I am actually surprised that we haven't just lost already. Hopefully nothing too big from Champ right here. I would prefer to keep my Counterspell. Oh, that's an Ephemerate. How do I feel about an Ephemerate? Not great. I think I'm going to use the Snap right here. Actually, what would that do? They would just recast it from hand? No, that doesn't solve that much. Okay. It cuts back their mana a little bit, but they've got yeah, they would basically just, those 2 would recast it. Yeah, so no reason to use Snap right there. Not going to get enough done with that, given their mana production. They get another land, probably the Urborg. Yep, there's the Urborg. 13 black mana. That is a lot. Vidalcan Orrery, ew. I mean, that's almost counterspell worthy. See if opponent wants to blink with that Rapid Hybridize. I've been kind of holding it all game and just, into that stare down. When are they going to use it? All right, going to activate the Golos. Hope for a whiff right here. Crucible of Worlds, Teferi's Protection, Zakama. I mean, Zakama can't resolve. That's not a thing that can happen. Here comes the Crucible of Worlds. Sure. Funny story, we can actually still mill opponent to death even if they are Teferi's protected. Here comes Zakama. I'm thinking no. Let's counterspell that. And best of all, Golos has already tapped their mana. So this should do some good and awkward stuff for them. Uh-oh, they can Demonic Tutor at instant speed. They can get a counterspell. Yeah, I mean, given the choice between Ori and Zakama, I think this is the correct spot to use the counterspell. Can't really anticipate that they have Demonic Tutor in hand, ready to fire off at instant speed. So opponent Demonic Tutors, let's see if they had the counterspell. They took a while, so maybe they don't. Like, maybe there's some chance they don't have the counterspell. Counterspell's not the best with Golos. They're going to untap a land just because when you're activating the Golos ability, Counterspell's probably not going to do much for you, so... Unless you're doing it with some things already on the stack, but that's not typically how you play Golos. Okay. Opponent goes for the Rapid Hybridize on Golos right here. Okie dokie. So opponent gets the 3/3 for their Golos. Zakama Counterspell still on the stack. Let's see what happens right here. Oh, a Seedborn Muse. Well, that is spicy. Haven't stopped this Counterspell yet, though, which makes me pretty happy. But I guess... Ooh, opponent's going to... Ooh, opponent Teferi's Protects right here, and I think we're actually, set up to win? Maybe? No. We're going to lose 2 artifacts in play. The Veldalkin and the Crucible of Worlds, which means there's only 3 artifacts and enchantments in, which means Dockside is not the best. It's positive by 1 mana. I mean, 1 is okay. It's not incredible. If we caught a Mana Rock off the top, that would be incredible. Opponent's phased out, so, we can still do the Winds of Rebuke thing. Brings it back to our turn. That's a Narset Parter of Veils. That's a pretty good card. What do we need to do this turn? We need to Idyllic Tutor for an Underworld Breach. Once we do that, we can Underworld Breach indefinitely, or we can Lion's Eye Diamond indefinitely. That'll take 5 mana. So let's get the Idyllic Tutor, get Underworld Breach, play Dockside, get some treasures. Trying to decide which land we play. Play Sanctum of Eternity, I guess. More utility. Burgeoning will trigger. Play Underworld Breach. Cast Lion's Eye Diamond. Don't need the Warden, don't need the Plains, don't need the Drannith Magistrate. So, Lion's Eye Diamond. Trying to figure out how to do this the right way. So, sacrifice this for a bunch of white mana. Cast Vadrok onto... we need to pay a blue and a red. Oop, nope. Make sure we mutate. Onto the Dockside. Oh, it's double red? I think we're okay. Doesn't really matter which side we go on right here. So Vadrok mutates onto the Dockside. Dockside, we can get the LED back for free right here. That seems like a good idea. Cast. Oh, actually, we should have did that the other way. Oops. Make some blue mana. Recast this again. Island, Narset, Tutor. Okay, so now we snap Vadrok back to our hand. Actually, use the Lion's Eye Diamond first. Double red, right? Double red. Snap Vadrok back to our hand. Need to exile 3 cards. Let's go Mystic Remora, Polywog, and Counterspell. Now we get to untap 2 lands. Let's untap some lands. Let's go this thing and this thing. Get a Dockside. Get 3 treasures. Mutate back onto the Dockside. Put that over. Use the flashback ability on Winds of Rebuke. We cast Winds of Rebuke targeting Vadrok. We get Dockside back, recast Dockside. Get more treasures. Cast with Mutate onto the Dockside. And we mutate again, and we Vadrok once again. Cast Winds of Rebuke. Choosing Vadrok. Oh. We have run out of mana. Uh-oh. So we need to recast Lion's Eye Diamond. Get rid of this thing, Dovin's Veto, and a Plains. Recast Dockside. Ooh, actually, we can recast... I think we can... No, yeah, we need Dockside. Dockside's the one we need. Okay. Ooh, we can't do that as a mana ability. Ooh. We may have backed ourselves into a corner here. Oh, no, I got it. Okay. So, sacrifice Lion's Eye Diamond for a bunch of red mana. Discards our hand. Vadrok can go to the command zone, bring back dockside, pay 1, get rid of. We're getting low on stuff. Get rid of Mystical Tutor, Saving Grasp, and Mountain. So then we recast Vadrok, mutate back onto the dockside. Ooh, it takes 5. Does take 5. Maybe we haven't figured it out. Oh, we have exactly 5. Okay. Whew. Oh no, it's 6. We are short. So we need to Lion's Eye Diamond again, but now we're running low on spells. Cast with Escape, exile 3 cards, so it's got to be Wheel, Unexplained Disappearance, and Snap is so good. I think we need the mana from Snap. Unless, what if we Snap on dockside? I don't know. This is probably going to mess it up, but I may have already messed it up and it might already be too late. Discard 3, we need to exile 3 things. Unexplained Disappearance. Kind of want the Wheel of Fortune, honestly. Got to be the Wheel of Fortune. Oh, you want what we haven't done yet? We can use the Goblin Engineer to get Lion's Eye Diamond back. Okay. Get Lion's Eye Diamond back. Sacrifice an artifact. Okay, there we go. I think this is gonna do good things. So we need to get Wheel of Fortune off. So Lion's Eye Diamond, cast with Mutate. Although if we do that, then we run out of mana, right? Well, then we can still Lion's Eye Diamond. Okay, yeah. Choose target non-human we control. That's the dockside. Go over. Get the Mutate trigger. Let's Wheel of Fortune right here. Refill our graveyard. Cast the Wheel of Fortune. Oh, that's actually not going to put anything into our graveyard. Well, there's all the mana rocks. Been badly missing those. Oh, did I just mess it up now? I think I just messed it up. Wow, they're literally all in one spot. Look at this. And people tell me not to complain about the shuffler. They're literally all right here. Oh, right, the other line. Okay, yeah, we just LED into the end of time. Ooh, what? Opponent's been sitting on a Beast Within this whole time? So they're going to shoot our Underworld Breach in this moment. Probably would have shot that a lot sooner. Lion's Eye Diamond back to play. I don't know that we have a way to get that Underworld Breach back. Well, that being the case, I think that stops us in our tracks. All right, pass the turn. Problem is, now we've exiled a lot of the things that we needed. That is not good. It's not good. Ooh, you know what card might be good for this deck? Pull from Eternity. So Urza back to play. Urza gets a Construct. Jeweled Amulet. Yep. Now we need more bounce spells. Ugh. Impulse for opponent. So opponent said that if we had tried going for the Wheel of Fortune thing earlier, they would have used the Beast Within much sooner. But because they weren't sure what we were doing, they held onto it for as long as they did. This is going to be cause for a Hall of Heliod's Generosity, so that you can get Underworld Breach back. There is a Savine's Reclamation in the deck, though, so that's the thing that we can do. Opponent getting a bunch of mana rocks going here with Mox Amber and Jeweled Amulet. Activates Urza. It's an island. Nice. Problem is we still got to deal with the Golos, and we did just wheel them. Oh, Vadrok can also get back the Underworld Breach, so we just need a way to, like, mutate Vadrok again. We got to get it out of play, then back to play. It is a 1-2. I accidentally put Dockside on top. Won't be that hard to get it killed. Opponent activates Selvala. We draw an island. Not ideal. Crop rotation. So I'm sure through some sequence of events, we probably could have won last turn. If I had gone for a Wheel of Fortune earlier, that would have filled up the graveyard with more stuff that we could escape with. And I think that would have been a pretty big deal. Probably waited a bit too long on that. Yeah, I haven't actually tried to, like, execute the Underworld Breach combo that much, and especially not in this way. So looking at that line versus the Vadrok Dockside line is pretty interesting. It's a lot to keep track of, and just being unfamiliar with the deck. Oops, made some boo-boos. We do need to not lose to Golos on our turn, and that's a very serious concern. On their turn, oh, that's a Tragic Arrogance. Oh my. Wow. Well, I guess we lose some creatures. We need Dockside. Dockside is one that we needed. For each player you choose. Yeah, that's pretty good. That's bad. That sets Golos up to win. Opponent leaves our commander in play. We lose the Goblin Engineer. Tireless Tracker for opponent. Well, there's a Worldly Tutor. Ephemerate. I think he loses Ephemerate into exile. Here's a Dryad of the Elysian Grove. He said he's got a Volakut, and he can do a lot of Volakut damage. That's all a thing. That fixes his mana issues, color-wise. So Mugen scoops it. We are probably dead to Golos right here. There's a Volakut. Opponent gets the land with Burgeoning. Tireless Tracker will investigate. Volakut going to shoot the Dockside. Yeah, that's bad. Return Vadrok to the command zone. So ideally we would want a creature so that we can mutate onto it. Opponent Valakut's the Tireless Tracker. Panharmonicon, oh boy. How sweet would this be as an opening hand? This would be a really cool opening hand. This is not a turn 7 hand that you want. Golos back to play. Valakut trigger. Gets a Crystal Quarry. Shoots us in the face. Another Valakut trigger. That's Escape Shift. That's probably going to do it. Opponent's got 17 lands in play currently. It's going to regenerate their Selvala. That only works for the first one that kills it. Let's see. 17 times 3 is what? 51? So one of us is easily dead. Ooh, that's a Tatiova. Okay, opponent doesn't go all of their lands. That makes sense, obviously. There's a bunch of Valakut triggers and a bunch of Tatiova triggers. Oh, and a Glacial Chasm. Well, we can get around Glacial Chasm. This is one of the few decks that I play where like Glacial Chasm is not the end of the world, but the immense amount of value and damage are real problems, though. Opponent's got 11 Valakut triggers right here, so that's lethal on us. So down we go to Valakut triggers. Opponent could like Seasons Past and do it again. Here's a Soul Ring. Dockside. Actually, they may not have enough lands left. Oh, untap all lands they control. Yep, this should do it. Land Tatiova Valakut. So Solemn, Valakut, yep, and opponent scoops it right there. They're just gonna get demolished by value. Who actually knows if like that turn ever actually ends for Golos? I think they just keep going and going. So as far as this deck, obviously some piloting errors right there. If I piloted the right way, that would have been a really interesting win because we were both last and we did not ramp at all. All we did was make our lands per turn. And that speaks to the mana efficiency of this deck, which is really cool. Having such a low curve like that, so that's really, really sweet. There are some things to consider, though. Well, before we get into cards, so I think one of the big things is that Ryan, the deck's creator, I think he needs to decide exactly how strong he wants this deck to be. If he wants to just go like full tilt, I'm trying to combo fast and hard, then I would still up the mana ramp count in this deck more, and you will need more interaction. In general, a lot of the games that I've played with him have always been in the kind of casual mid-power level, and as you get to higher levels, you need to adjust your strategy a little bit. You do need to be able to answer your opponents in meaningful ways. So the way that I would build this deck personally would be basically like my combo, things that tutor for my combo, a bunch of mana ramp, and a bunch of interaction. That's like we've got some stuff like the Cub Warden here, which I would get rid of that just based on what my vision of the deck is. To me, this deck feels a little bit too strong to really be kind of a casual to mid-power kind of thing, especially with the tutors in it, because like you saw right there, we almost won on turn 6, no mana ramp at all, which that's insane. Like decks don't do that. That is a really hard thing to do. So, that speaks to the power of the combo and everything else in there. So, I would really gear this deck up to be facing other really powerful decks, which means you need a lot of interaction. I would just go absolutely wild with cheap removal in this deck. So, I'm probably not going to go through every single card that I would cut because I don't really know the deck well enough to cut everything, but I'll try to make a couple quick recommendations. So, we'll just move these right here. So as far as removal, we've got Swords already, definitely Path. I'm on Reality Shift, Rapid Hybridize, Pongify. These are all flashback targets, all really good cards. I would bring all of those in. I would probably bring in... Again, the deck needs more artifact and enchantment removal. That Torpor Orb almost stopped the combo completely, so we need more answers for that. Dismantling Wave is the cool new one. It's a sorcery, and for each opponent, you get to destroy up to one artifact and enchantment that player controls. I think I like one of those. You could go for a Wear Tear. You could also go for a Vandal Blast. Kind of just depends on what you want. Disenchant, totally legit also. I'll just say a Wear Tear for now. That ups the removal a bit. I would still add a bit more ramp. So what's our ramp look like? 11 pieces of ramp. Given that you're probably facing other high power decks, I would still up that a bit. I'm getting rid of this crystal right here. I'll keep the Chromatic Lantern because also the mana base just needs to be updated in the deck. A lot of basics. The one thing that stuck out immediately is that you want a Hall of Helios Generosity. So get that in the deck, cut a basic right here. But obviously, get multicolor lands into the deck. That I don't think we need to go through that exercise, but you get the idea. Whatever's available to you, get those going in the deck. Especially, you're going to want to be pretty blue and pretty red. Less white cards in the deck, but still you're going to need some stuff for that as well. There is the other combo line that he mentioned with High Tide and something else. I would probably look to add that into the deck also because this is a combo deck, and I did notice that this Dockside plan is a little bit fragile. So it's a creature, you're mutating onto a creature, which means that creature removal is a problem. And can easily break your combo, so having some backups there is going to be a really good idea. You may even just want Faith Shield. Target permanent you control gains protection from the color of your choice until end of turn. Not too worried about the Fateful Hour part. You may want that because your Dockside is pretty exposed. The problem with counterspells is that you're more likely to use a counterspell on some other big thing, like, we needed to counter that Sakama. Faith Shield doesn't counter that Sakama. Faith Shield does one thing, protects your stuff. So it's really good and efficient at protecting your things. I would probably think about that a little bit. Being Jeskai, you obviously have access to the Dramatic Scepter combo. I'm not going to say that you have to, but if you're trying to make the deck as strong as humanly possible, that's a thing that you could look at adding as well. But as far as ramp, so if you want to go CEDH, then fast mana, that's going to be your Chrome Moxes, Mox Diamond, Lotus Petal, stuff like that. If you're not looking to go CEDH and just looking to go high power, more signets. I would get every available signet for the colors. So I've added 2 more signets. I would also add a Mana Geyser to this deck because of the interaction with Underworld Breach. So that's part of the combo. I would definitely add this. Basically, you just cast that from the graveyard and you're going to get 1,000,000 mana. If we had one of these, we wouldn't have run out of mana so easily. And I think that'll definitely help with the combo. It's also just a good card if you just need a big explosive turn. It does cool things. So I'd probably add one of those. You could even think about something like a Rite of Flame. I'm not sure if it's good enough, but it's probably not going to be awful either. So, that's something you could consider. I'd need to play the deck a little bit more. One of the things you could use too, Thought Vessel Reliquary Tower. I did notice with the Mystic Remora, and I think there's a Ristic Study as well. You draw a lot of cards, so you want some way to have no max hand size. There's probably some cool other stuff too, I'm off the top of my head, I'm thinking about something like Jeskai Ascendancy. I don't know that it's immediately a part of any of the combos, but it's just good. You start messing around with all these kind of casting multiple spells a turn kind of thing. Could be very interesting. Something to think about. As far as the mana rocks also, it may not hurt to have a Gilded Lotus or a Thran Dynamo, just 1 or 2 bigger mana rocks in the deck, just to make sure that if Vadrok gets blown up, you can get it back. That's always going to be a concern. Oh, one of the cards I talked about too was Pull from Eternity. This becomes relevant if you have to exile things with Underworld Breach, which we did. So that could be very interesting. So I might check that out and, see if it's doing what you need it to do. Kind of prevent yourself from having to exile your combo while trying to do the Underworld Breach loop. Not a lot of board wipes in this deck. I would probably add some number of board wipes. I always like a Blasphemous Act. I always like to have at least 1 in the deck, just in case things go really wrong. With this deck, there's a decent number of tutors in it, so, you probably... It depends on where you're wanting to play this deck. If you're playing it against high-power combo decks, creatures are a bit less relevant. There's just less of them, so, you don't need as many board wipes. But if you're playing it, if you're playing this against green decks and other creature decks, then, yeah, add more board wipes. As far as things that I would cut, I'm probably not going to be able to get this under 100 on video right here. Again, I would have to play it more, but I think the mutate creatures are going to be the biggest things. Honestly, in my opinion, they just don't do enough. I think in this deck, you only care about mutating Vadrok. I don't think you care about mutating other creatures. Because, this makes tokens. There's 0 support for tokens in the deck. This is a 4/4, you know what I mean? This isn't really a combat kind of deck, so I think getting rid of the other mutate creatures is going to help the deck a lot. That's a cool card. Just saw this. Whirlwind of Thought. Whenever you cast a non-creature spell, draw a card. Yeah, that's good for comboing off. This one returns instants and sorceries from your graveyard to your hand. That one I would keep. This one makes your creatures bigger. Get rid of that. Thassa's Oracle is a win condition if you mill yourself. Grand Abolisher is good. Drannith Magistrate, super annoying for opponents. He did have the Knowledge Pool lock in here. You could certainly add that back if you wanted to. I don't know. The Sea Dasher or Octopus, not completely sold on that thing. So get rid of these. Faithless Looting's interesting for this deck because you can flash things back. So you can kind of use your graveyard as a storage bin. I'd still probably just go full tilt wheels personally, but Gamble's interesting too because you don't care if it ends up in the graveyard. So they've got Imperial Recruiter and Goblin Matron. You could add more of the fine Dockside Extortionist tutors in the deck. I'd probably go in that direction because it is very important to get Dockside into play. Got a young Pyromancer in the deck. I think that's cool. Monastery Mentor, kind of cool. Not a ton of token support, but it can make bodies which block. Monastery Mentor is cool because it can win a game by itself. Just a couple spells, and you've got a huge token army. I don't know if it was just because we drew really weirdly in this game, but I felt like I maybe didn't need quite as many of these bounce a creature you control type cards, but I'm not sure exactly. Like, you know, maybe you want 2 or 3, but you don't need tons and tons of them. That I'd have to figure out. Maybe you do want a bunch. I'm not sure. I think the Polywog is decent. It's going to reduce the cost of mutating Vadrok, and you can draw and discard a card, which I think is pretty cool. It's repeatable. So yeah, I'd have to tinker with this a bunch more to see, you know, to actually get it down to 100 cards. But I think those are kind of the main changes. A little bit more mana ramp, definitely more removal. Because, like I said, I think you're going to have to play this against some stronger decks. And I would need to play it a few more times to really get a feel on, like, the combo itself. Like, obviously we ran into a problem right there where opponents didn't have enough artifacts. Maybe you think about some world with, like, a Genesis Chamber or something just to make sure there's always enough artifacts on the battlefield for Dockside to do its thing. I don't know. That's a question. But yeah, other than that, I thought it was really cool. I did think it was really interesting that we almost won the game. 6 lands, going last, no mana ramp. That definitely says something to me. So anyway, hope you guys enjoyed the video. As always, feel free to comment, like, or subscribe. Thank you for watching. Hey guys, in addition to my TCG affiliate player link, I now have an affiliate link with Flipside Gaming, an LGS from my hometown. You can use the promo code REPLAY to save 10% on your next order over $10. Both affiliate links are in the description below. The 2020 GoFundMe is active. If you want to do one-on-one deck reviews with me, or get one of your decks played on video, be sure to check out the link in the description below. I want to thank my awesome Patreon supporters. We have one new Patreon supporter in Kellen Bachman. Kellen, you are awesome. If you want to help support the channel and join an awesome Discord community, feel free to check out my Patreon at the link below.